Do you believe your grandfather is racist?
I believe he holds racist tendencies and beliefs.
Why do you say that?
Uh, he's just a stock American Christian male. It's older, that's just how they are.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about a story that the race hustling mainstream liberal media should be all over, because they told us that any shooting that happens to involve interracial violence is racism, right? The most likely reason why it happened is because of racism, because this country is systemically racist. There's so many racist people in this country. And when, again, there's interracial violence, it has to be a form of racism. It has to be because of racism, okay?
Do you believe your grandfather is racist?
I believe he holds racist tendencies and beliefs.
Why do you say that?
He's just a stock American Christian male. It's older, that's just how they are. It's the conspiracies and weird random racist things they say, and it doesn't make sense, but they're just scared.
Now, listen, you're generalizing a lot here about, you said, older Christian white males, but what do you mean by that? What do you mean they're scared? Talk to me more, please.
It's just I feel like a lot of people of that generation are caught up in this 24-hour news cycle of fear and paranoia perpetuated by some other news stations, and he was fully into that, sit and watch Fox News all day, every day, blaring in his living room. And I think that stuff really kind of reinforces this negative view of minority groups and leads people to be doesn't necessarily lead people to be racist, but it reinforces and galvanizes racist people and their beliefs.
So with that being said, they should be all over this story that happened out of Charlotte, North Carolina, more specifically Gastonia, okay? That involves a black man that ended up shooting a 6-year-old because a basketball rolled into his driveway. And I want to go ahead and show you this news clip so you guys get a better understanding of what happened here. Take a look.
Why did you shoot my daddy and me? Tried to shoot a kid's dad.
This morning, a 6-year-old girl and her parents recovering after they were shot by a neighbor, all because of an errant basketball. Authorities say 24-year-old Robert Louis Singletary grabbed a gun and approached a group of children after the basketball from their street game rolled into his driveway. According to police, William White, the father of 6-year-old Kingsley, noticed Singletary and tried to draw gunfire toward himself to protect the children before being shot in the back. He is still in the hospital. Authorities launching a massive manhunt for Singletary, who remains on the loose.
Now, that person is facing 4 counts of attempted murder with 2 counts of assault with a deadly weapon with the intent to kill. He's also facing a possession of firearm by a felon charge. Now, earlier this morning, we saw about a dozen law enforcement agents in the neighborhood. Gaston County Police are taking help from neighboring law enforcement agencies like the County Sheriff's Department, as well as CMPD. Detectives were going door to door to talk with neighbors. They brought out K-9 units as well to search around the property. See, this house sits on the edge of a very wooded area, and county officials told us that they were searching the woods last night. See, the shooting happened right around 8 o'clock. A man and a child went to the hospital with serious injuries. Officials tell us that a woman was grazed by the bullets and another man was shot at but was not injured. Now, we understand that the child was released from the hospital today, but the man is still under doctor's care but is in stable condition.
Yeah, so I want y'all to understand. A 6-year-old girl who happens to be white, and what appears to be, what it sounds like, her father, okay, her parents, were shot by a black man. Now, me having common sense and not trying to be a race hustler or race baiter, I know that most likely this did not happen because the black guy shot him because he's racist, right? He hates whites, okay? I know that that's probably not the case, and I'm not even going to speculate whether that's the case because I have no evidence to suggest that that's the case, right? However, the mainstream liberal media told us, okay, in the case of Ralph Yarl, what happened out there in Kansas City, that if it is interracial violence, then it must be racism, okay? Because they said that happened because of racism, despite the fact that they don't really have any real evidence to suggest that Ralph Yarl was shot just because he was black. Now, not saying that that's, impossible, that, race couldn't have been involved or race was not a fact. I'm not saying that's not the case. I don't know. That is what I'm saying. But again, if you understand the mainstream liberal media, and if they're consistent about this stuff, right, then they will be screaming racism for a situation like this, a situation that, in my opinion, is worse than what happened to Ralph Yarl, because not only was this 6-year-old girl shot, but it seems like her parents were shot as well, too, trying to distract the shooter and to save their kids. So again, where's the mainstream liberal media? Where is the cries about racism in this country and how prevalent racism is? I guarantee you, nobody in the mainstream liberal media is going to cry racism when it comes to story. Even though, hey, seems to me that there's a race angle. According to them, there's a race angle here, right? Where are the cries about racism? Where's the national news media on this? The national news media should be all over this, okay? Because again, this story right here is similar to the Ralph Yarl story. It has the race angle, has everything that they could ever want, right? For a racialized story. Oh, I forgot. Doesn't fit the narrative. Because the races will reverse. When a white person, white child, girl, 6-year-old girl, gets shot by a black person, okay, just because the little girl entered that person's yard, that's not national newsworthy. They're not going to talk about it. You're not going to see that on CNN. But again, if the roles were reversed, we already know what will happen, right? I don't even have to ask you guys what do you think will happen, because we already know. We just saw it. We all know what the mainstream liberal media will be doing if the roles were reversed. Guys, if this situation right here was another shooting where you had a white person shoot a black person just for entering their yard or knocking on their door, oh my goodness, they will be saying that this is an epidemic, right? We will have BLM style riots and protests in the streets, because it would be the second time that this narrative here that they're trying to push would have played out in a week. Would have been the second time. So they would have been like, oh my God, this is crazy. This is an epidemic. We got to do something about this. There are white men that are just looking for reasons to shoot black people. Even if you just enter their yard. As a black person, you can't even accidentally enter somebody's yard, a white person's yard, without worried about being shot. That is the narrative they be pushing. But because, again, this doesn't fit the narrative, even though it seems to me, according to them, there's a race angle here. Crickets, silence. And these are the same people that will tell you that, there's some white privilege in this country. that white people, because you're white, somehow, some way you have it so much better because of your skin color. And every time I look, especially when it comes to the politics of how some of these media stories are covered, it seems to me that the people that have the most privilege are the people that are not white, right? They seem to get the most care and attention when an injustice is committed against them. But when an injustice is committed against somebody that's white, silence, crickets. We don't have anything to say about it. It can't be sensationalized. They can't play the race angle, even though to me it seems like, hey, maybe, just maybe, there's a race angle here. I don't know, right? I don't have enough information to come to that conclusion. But again, when it's white on black, the mainstream media doesn't need enough information. They don't need any evidence to come to the conclusion that it was racist, right? Or that race was involved. So I should just declare this a racist shooting, right? This was a racist shooting. This racist black man shot this white girl because she's white, because he's racist, right? Isn't that's how this works, right? That is how this works according to the mainstream liberal media. Okay, so let's see if this gets any coverage. Will CNN be interviewing family members of the black guy, right, that shot this little white girl and her father, to see whether or not he had a history of being racist, okay? Was he watching too much Joy Reid and Don Lemon, right? And that radicalized him to become some type of racist? Who knows, right? We'll see. We'll see. I wouldn't hold my breath, okay? I wouldn't bet money that they're going to look deeply into this guy's background to see how racist he actually is. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a black conservative perspective. Peace.